Welcome to the Rock Fight, where we speak our truth, slay sacred cows, and sometimes agree to disagree. This is an outdoor podcast that aims for the head. I'm Colin Eoin, and today we're coming to you live from GOA Connect. But before we do, come back to the Rock Fight this Friday for the first of 3 interviews we recorded at GOA Connect. For this first one, Eoin Comerford and I sat down with the founder and CEO of Nemo, Cam Brensinger. And hey, if you're heading to Switchback next week, be sure to put the Rock Fight live on your agenda for Tuesday, June 17th at 5 o'clock in the Trailheads Theater. I'll be there with producer Dave, with the consigliere Eoin Comerford, with Shantae Salabert. We got to get her a new nickname. If Switchback is going to be the event of the summer, this will be the event at the event. Don't miss it, and stick around. We'll be right back.
Welcome to the Rock Fight, Rock Fight, Rock Fight.
In the store aisles, a quiet revolution is happening. With Endeavor, frontline staff aren't just selling products, they're building trust, making connections, and turning browsers into loyal customers. Let's see how. He didn't know which brand he wanted, just that the trail ahead was rocky. But she knew, because she'd trained for this moment right on her phone. A quick conversation, a confident recommendation, and a perfect fit hiking boot later, he's ready for his trip. That's right, she's a
Shop floor hero.
It may be lunchtime, but between sandwich bites, he learned about fog fighting tech and snow goggles. An hour later, that knowledge helped a customer pick the perfect pair and add a helmet too. Learning on the go, selling with certainty, adding value. Yup, he's a
Shop floor hero.
Endeavor is a mobile-first platform that equips retail staff with training, incentives, and tools to boost sales and brand engagement. Brands gain insights, sell-through improves, while retail associates stay motivated. Ready to get started? Just head to endeavor.io, update your brand profile, and upload your dealer list to access the free features and, when you're ready, launch your first pay-as-you-go campaign. With flexible, scalable options, Endeavor turns everyday interactions into strategic wins. The result?
Be a shop floor hero. Endeavor's here to stay. Shop floor hero. Sell through is the way.
Liz and Royal Robbins were known as American climbing royalty, part of the first group of Yosemite-based climbers that would scale routes yet unclimbed, who would promote the ethic of clean climbing, and who, with a core group of startup brands, would serve as the foundation of our modern outdoor industry. From their very first pair of shorts that could boast a true climbing functionality, Royal Robbins has become synonymous with comfort, versatile wear for the modern adventurer. From Rockcraft Productions coming spring 2026 to a specialty store near you, Royal Robbins presents Being Royal Robbins. It's the story of how the Royal Robbins men's desert pucker became an icon and spawned the new Camino pucker. And it's the story of how an innovative brand launched mosquito protection technology to keep you protected without the use of chemicals, and why the Salif hoodie is possibly the most unique hoodie in our outside world. And how you can experience this uniquely American story of adventure through the thoughtful clothing choices of Royal Robbins. Available for streaming everywhere you find actual water-based tributaries. And don't miss a sneak preview at Spring 26 GOA Connect this June. Being Royal Robbins, because nature and adventure are good for the soul. All right, I'm recording this on Tuesday, June 10th, and I just got home from the Grassroots Outdoor Alliance Connect show. Actually, literally, I've been in the house for 5 minutes. The show itself is still going on, and it will be for another couple of days, but we got done what we needed to get done over the past couple of days here at the Rock Fight. So if you missed Monday's episode, we previewed GOA Connect, and this is a trade show primarily for the dealers of the Grassroots Outdoor Alliance. There's around 100 or so. Other dealers are invited to attend, but it's a very quiet show in that the GOA schedules dealer meetings for the brands with them, meaning it's literally quiet because everyone's in meetings all day long. But for us at the Rock Fight, we sort of drop in to see what's happening, have a few meetings, and then head out. Eoin Comerford joined me. Producer Dave was there. He had some obligations to some brands he works with, so mostly it was Eoin and I checking out the show. And yesterday, which was Monday, while I'm recording this, we interviewed 3 different leaders from outdoor brands, and we'll be rolling out those interviews over the next few weeks. But perhaps the best part of our trip was Sunday night, which was the Discovery Marketplace. And since GOA Connect features appointments with some of the best retailers in the outdoor space, there's a lot of demand from brands to be included in the show. Everything from zombie brands trying to return to form, as well as emerging brands who are trying to get noticed. So the GOA hosts the Discovery Marketplace, where these brands can set up a small footprint booth and meet with retail buyers. I had a chance to go to the event last year as well, and it was short. It was only about 2 hours long, and it definitely felt too short. And apparently someone agreed with me, because this year the marketplace ran from 2 o'clock to 7 o'clock. So Eoin joined me, and we spent as much time as we could chatting with as many brands as we could. And before we left Reno, before we left the show, the two of us sat down to record an episode of the pod and talk about who impressed us the most and what we learned about our industry by talking to the brands who are itching to get on the main floor at GOA and still have to exhibit at the Discovery Marketplace. So let's get into it. Welcome back to the Rock Fight, where today we're recapping the Discovery Marketplace at GOA Connect. All right, I'm here with Eoin Comerford. We're recording this in a room at the GOA Connect show.
Hold on, not just a room at the GOA Connect show. We are in the command center in a meeting room that is overlooking the whole floor of GOA Connect.
That's true.
It's boss. Yeah.
Let's take a picture while we're potting so that I can post it on Instagram. So this is what we're talking about. There it is. All right, so go check out our Instagram if you want to see the photo of our command center.
Yes.
We definitely are lording over the GOA Connect show.
Clearly.
We are changing the name to Rock Fight Con. That's what's happening. We just got wrapped up recording some interviews. You're going to hear those over the next few weeks here on the podcast. How'd that go for you? Pretty good day here at GOA Connect.
This was great. This was actually, in terms of the interviews and the quality of the interviews, it exceeded my expectations.
Same.
And just being in person with people, I think it creates just a different vibe. I thought it was great.
Yeah, it was the first time we've done in-person interviews on the Rock Fight. I haven't done an in-person podcast interview since before the Rock Fight was even like a seed, right? So like this was really kind of fun. Like I'm not saying we're not pivoting, but like if we have the opportunity to do it again, definitely will for sure.
Did you get sort of like anti-claustrophobia where you weren't doing this in this tiny little
in my little sound booth? A little bit. Yeah. At one point during our first one, I'm like, I kind of relaxed. I kind of leaned back in the chair. Like, this is really nice. We should do more of these.
All right.
But last night, which was Sunday, June 8th, was the Discovery Marketplace, where brands that aren't exhibiting at GOA Connect at the main trade show get to meet with retail buyers in a sort of mini trade show format. It's basically a big ballroom with, I think, 5x5 booths. Were they 5x5? Were they 10x10?
I think they were 10x10.
Were they 10x10?
Yeah.
10x10 booths. Retail buyers go booth to booth. They get to meet with the brands. Just some general thoughts on that. I mean, I thought it was much better than last year with the one I saw last year.
Absolutely, I think a lot of great brands, and then the extended hours was key, because it actually, I think it was only about 2 hours in the evening the last few years. This ran from 2 until 7, and we didn't go in for the first hour to give people a chance to maybe meet with some of the actual buyers, but we were there for 3.5 hours, and quite frankly, maybe talk to a quarter of the people there?
Yeah, you could make the argument. I'm not making the argument, but you could make the argument that this could be a day.
A day.
I mean, yeah.
Exactly.
We're going to talk about coming up here about 16 brands that we got to attack, not in too much depth, but I think that's about the most that we were able to see. I mean, it's 15 minutes minimum every time you engage with some of these folks. And if you're a buyer then it's like, you're probably going to be in there for much longer, right? If you're actually going to thinking about buying this brand. So you could probably run this even longer if you wanted to. Yeah,
and the interesting thing is actually I was talking to Dana, who is one of the leadership team.
Shout out
here.
Dana Howe.
Hey, Dana. And actually there are a couple of brands that do both. So they're at Discovery and they're on the floor here at GOA Connect.
Interesting.
For the appointment piece. And really, because Discovery actually gets them in front of more retailers so they can grow, whereas the actual the appointment show is just purely driven by appointments, so you already have to have those.
Right, GOA Connect, they will set up your appointments for you. You have meetings with buyers scheduled throughout the show.
Yeah.
So the loosey-goosey format of Discovery Marketplace kind of benefits the brand in different ways.
Yes, exactly.
Lots of interesting brands I hadn't seen before.
Yeah.
A bunch we had.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk about that. I am going to put, if we include the phrase emerging brand in the show title of this episode, I will put that in quotes, because there are a handful that are I don't know. You can't really call them emerging
No,
brands.
not at all. I mean, yeah, some like big, like Beyond Yoga, I think is $1 billion brand. Rosignol was there. I mean, these are not small brands.
Not all of them, but a handful of truly like, hey, we're trying this out.
Well, I mean, really, what it is it's not. Hey, you might not be. You might be a big brand, but if you're not big in outdoor specialty and within GOA, you're going to be in the marketplace. That's where you have to go.
Yeah, and I think my takeaway from this last year was it was just too short to even from our perspective, like we went on and talked to a few folks, but by the end of the night, after you've seen a dozen people you hadn't seen in a while, like you kind of ran out of time.
Right.
I think it sounds like Switchback and OR have tried to position themselves to some degree as a place for emerging brands to meet with buyers. This really worked.
Yeah.
Right. So I would say if you're an emerging brand, get on the list for Discovery Marketplace at GOA Connect.
And absolutely. And kudos, by the way, to Gabe and to Dana and the whole leadership team. I mean, this is something that I had kind of harped on them a bit, like that this was missing and that the Discovery Marketplace was really just scratching the surface. So a movement in the right direction, I think.
Handful of brands I'm noticing. I'm inventing the phrase D to C to S because I think we have... it feels like the old way of approach to things. Like, hey, I've got a new brand. We got to get orders. And then, man, we want to land that Sports Chalet, REI, Dick's, Academy. You want fill in your big sort of, chain store option. Talking to a few folks in the last couple of weeks and then last night as well, direct to consumer for the past few years, doing pretty well, sustaining the brand, still independently owned.
Yep.
But now their focus is specialty.
Yes.
So that's the S, D to C to S.
Absolutely.
Is that a new path?
I don't know that it's a new path, but I think it's becoming the path just because it is really quite difficult to break into the really big guys.
Yeah.
And the specialty, and one of the reasons why they're a core part of our industry is because they are willing to test new brands and to bring in those emerging brands, and also allow those emerging brands to kind of cut their teeth on wholesale at that level versus trying to make the quantum leap to one of the big guys.
Right. We're going to talk about a couple of those in our list. So let's take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to get into the brands that made the biggest impressions on us last night at the Discovery Marketplace here at GOA Connect. Today's episode of The Rock Fight is presented by Oboes, who wants to share their love of hiking, and we want to help them by uncovering all the different reasons that we love to take the long walk. Reasons that include the following. Number 1, because walking in circles at the mall does not count as nature. Number 2, to earn the right to complain about sore calves. Number 3, dirt is just nature's glitter. And number 4, hiking means the Bridger Boot Collection. The Bridger Ridge is here to help you smooth out the rough trails in front of you. With enhanced stability and protection, the Bridger Ridge is Oboe's first boot with Gore-Tex, so bring on the smiles and the miles in the Bridger Ridge. And if you find yourself in or near Grandville, Michigan this summer, be sure to stop by Great Lakes Outpost to pick up your own pair of Bridger Ridges. And Oboes is the maker of premium quality footwear for the trail and the Cupid to the outdoor world. Oboes, love hiking. Today's episode of The Rock Fight is brought to you by Garage Grown Gear. Hey, are you eagerly awaiting your next backpacking trip this summer? Garage Grown Gear is your virtual one-stop shop for all your ultralight backpacking gear, wants, and needs. Don't let your gear weigh you down. Instead, go ultralight. From ultralight backpacks, shelters, and sleep systems to all the accessories you can imagine, GGG's got it. Plus, they carry lots of gear from small and cottage brands, so you can feel good about supporting local small businesses. Click the link in the show notes, and happy trails this summer. Head to garagegrowngear.com. At Lems, we're all about pushing boundaries, and this spring, we took a big step forward with the launch of our first ever sandal, the Switchback Sandal. It's our biggest release to date, built with a single continuous webbing system for a secure fit and known as the Switchback Slider. We're beyond proud of how it turned out and can't wait for you to check it out. Catch it in person at the Switchback event in Nashville next week, June 17th to the 18th, or just grab a pair at lemshoes.com. Take my word for it, this will be the most comfortable thing that you will step on. All right, we're back. We split this into 3 categories. We have notable established brands. Like we said, they're not all emerging brands. There's a handful of brands that we spoke to who we were very familiar with, and probably to some degree, I'm sure we've mentioned all 4 of these on the pod at some point. We have another category we're calling differentiated apparel. Lots of apparel brands. So there's some ones that we thought stood out, and then truly emerging brands. Like one of the ones we're like, oh, we never heard of them before, and wow, that was a really interesting interaction. So Do you want to kick us off with our first notable established brand?
Sure. Let's start with Sanuk.
Sanuk.
Yes.
Sanuk's back, baby.
They're back. Yeah. The Decker's, child, I guess that got a little bit sort of. Yeah, obviously they had a moment, right? When what was that? 10
This is
years
not
ago?
a sandal. This is not a shoe. It's
Right,
a sandal.
exactly. They were a thing, and then obviously it had some tough years there. Decker decided that hey, it was time to move on. Sold to Lole, which I think we talked about it at the pod.
We did.
It was like
It was weird.
It did not seem like a fit.
It's like, how did knockoff Lululemon buy Sanuk, and what does that mean for all of this? Is this a sign of the apocalypse? Like, what is happening?
Right. And, I think in talking to the Sanuk folks, it has been a breath of fresh air.
We talked to two different reps, independent reps, who independent reps are usually looking for something negative to say. Sorry. I mean, I don't think that's controversial to say. They're happy to share their cynical opinions.
Yes.
Could not be happier with where things are. The first one we spoke to said the 10 months since the acquisition,
right,
they've opened up 200 new doors.
200.
We had to fact check that like 3 times. Like, did you say 200? If you had told me like 30, I'd be like, hey, nice job.
Right,
you know what I mean?
But like he was saying, no, like 30 in my region.
Yes.
Yes. No, and it's interesting. And you look at the line, I think a lot of it is much the same.
It looks like Sanuk.
But then they have this, what I would call Dippin' Dots flip-flop.
It's one of those, I bet that's existed in some form before, but I can't remember it. And of course it's selling out.
Like hotcakes.
It's a great way to describe it. It looks like Dippin' Dots in the bed of your flip-flop.
Right.
And it's all multicolored.
Yeah, it's
and
cool.
I don't know what the MSRP is, but I'm imagining like $40, $50 probably.
If that.
And, right, and you're just selling them all day long.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. It just jumps off the peg, right? Because it's just so interesting. It's an easy price point. Yeah, so...
Yeah, and I want to turn this into like an anti-Deckers pod, but I mean, it was like the consensus was it was pretty miserable the last few years of Sanuk, and what was happening there under Deckers, rule. And then they were excited when it was going to be sold, but who are you going to get?
Right.
And again, all apologies, anything negative I said about this deal when that came out. Lowly apparently saw the opportunity, saw what could be done with this, and is now just executing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they have happy reps, apparently happier dealers. Hey, Sanuk, good on you, man.
Kudos to them.
Yeah. It makes me wonder, like, what could Hoka be actually doing?
No, see, I don't think that's fair because really it's a bit of a shiny object thing, I think, is the issue, if you will, within Decker. Believe me, Hoka has been getting all the love.
That's true.
And that's why. And that's why if you're not if you're not the golden child, if you're the redheaded stepchild,
right,
you feel it.
Right.
Okay, I think that's the issue.
Like, remember when Sanuk was cool? We should just sell those guys. We got this cool shiny thing going on over here. Yeah. Next up was Mountain House. So I think we talked about after OMA, the media event last fall. You hadn't seen Mountain House in a while, and you had a very wonderful experience.
I did. So, I'm typically not a big backpacking food fan, right? It's all tends to be a little bit, high in sodium, kind of mushy, kind of right? And so they had this thing there that was a deconstructed pizza, quote unquote, right? Pepperoni, cheese, crust.
Backpacker pizza.
Yeah, and I'm like, that looks that can't be good. I thought, right? But I said, let me try it.
Yeah, and our friend Sally was serving.
Sally is lovely, by the way. And I had this. It was
you were so pumped.
Awesome. It was like there was really crunchy crust. I don't know how they did it. It's some sort of weird alchemy, but like it was full pieces of crunchy crust. I'm a big texture guy, right?
Yeah, right.
And so full piece of crunchy crust with cheesiness and with the pepperoni. I mean,
yeah, they did a good job.
It was really good.
It was kind of mind blowing.
Yeah, it was.
I was like, he's either gonna love this or hate it. I didn't feel like there was any option for in between. I think Matt was on the table, and I was so pumped that you liked it. That was great.
It was great. It was good.
Then we met with folks, Bill Lockwood and the team over at Oslo. Oslo we talked a little bit about in the pod. I mean, they're just kind of like a keep on keeping on brand, I feel like. Just, like solid product. They kind of just like doing their thing. The thing that I thought was interesting talking to Bill was they're noticing and they're hearing from dealers apparently a shift back towards boots.
Yep.
I think we're hearing this from our friends who advertise here on the pod at Oboz. Loa also has had a bunch of new boot product, even though they also are pushing their trail running range. And so hearing that, like, hey, the pendulum is swinging back after a very hard shift towards trail running for a long time.
Right.
People are becoming interested in boots again.
That was great. And the other thing, too, is I didn't know this, but they're the only brand that has a female-specific last for mountaineering boots.
For women with,
and also new this year, which my wife is gonna love this.
That you're talking
for
about
women
on the
with
podcast.
Bunions. Well, she doesn't listen to this. Are you kidding me?
That's fair. Neither does my wife.
Okay,
So
there you
it's
go.
kinda-
She's like, I get enough of you.
Are you going to talk to those boys and girls again? Yeah.
So I think that's really, fit is so important. And, to take it to that level where you're having a bunion specific fit, like, wow, okay, I respect that.
And they're big on their reselling program too, which Oslo has been doing for a little while there.
Exactly,
so,
yeah.
Lastly, though, I'm definitely a contender probably for MVP for me of the evening was Filson being there.
Right. Yeah.
Filson, which we 1897 founded. We've all known Filson. Great stuff, beautiful apparel, bags. They got the shop. They make stuff in Seattle, the whole deal.
All the leather, the
Right.
wax canvas, whatever, yeah.
Industry veteran Tim Bantle recently stepped into the role there as brand president.
Yep.
And he has his eyes on specialty retail.
Yeah, absolutely. And really looking to make to leverage the incredible history and tradition that is Filson, but also make it accessible and get it out there as a real alternative to maybe some of the established brands in specialty.
And it was cool to see. I think that's a smart move. Like, what an interest! Like, it's to kind of go to a shop with a, again, more everyday wear type of line that belongs in an outdoor store, but it's Filson. I mean, you just bring brand heritage with you.
Right.
It also then kind of leads into our next category, differentiated apparel, because it really does feel like there's been a bit of a maturation. We were talking about this that before we hit record that, there's been lifestyle. We had lifestyle in our top 5 apparel draft. There's, every outdoor brand has had lifestyle components to their apparel line.
Right.
It feels like that kind of moniker has grown up a little bit, where there are definitely there are some folks who are just making things that absolutely belong in an outdoor store.
Right.
But it is not outdoor stuff. And I think Filson's a good example of that. And then the next one on our list, the first one in this category was Paca.
Paca, exactly. And so for those that aren't aware, Paca is it's actually a 10-year-old brand based in Boulder. And its focus is on alpaca wool and using that as the main ingredient. And their signature piece is this hoodie, which is really kind of cool, good vibe. But they've then branched out from there, and they've got socks and I think underwear, T-shirts, etc. Now they've got an alpaca. I think it's a patent pending alpaca-based fiber insulation that's coming out, which is really cool. But again, to your point, it's not something you're going to wear going climbing or even hiking, but it still has that outdoor vibe and that mountain lifestyle vibe.
Yep.
I think that's really cool.
Yeah, we see that Passenger has kind of been playing in this space. Royal Robbins has been playing in this space. It just seems like it's kind of found itself of like, again, that it belongs, but it's also not technical. And and it was beautiful product.
Mm-hmm.
Doug Schnitzbond's here. Do you know Paca and Boulder, Doug?
I love Paca. I'm a big fan of the brand. I've got a Paca sweatshirt with me right here on this trip. I got their light sweater, their summer sweater, which is beautiful.
Is this Boulder homerism? What's going
I
on?
don't know if it's Boulder homerism. I think it's just it feels good. The base layer, I'm a big fan of the base layers too.
Yeah.
I wore those all winter. And I test a lot of stuff. So this isn't just homerism. This is actually the stuff I end up wearing.
Yeah, the stuff you keep. You're like, this is
it's
mine
stuff
now.
I actually like. Yeah.
I will not be sending this back. Yeah. Next up was one of my favorites, Ripton, which is performance denim.
Performance denim, yeah. So, really cool. Also, great people, too. Just a great vibe.
Yeah, Sarah over there rules.
Yeah, so I was, it's 40% stretch. No, it's not 40% spandex, but it can stretch 40% larger, so it really can move with you. And I mean the what are they? Jorts, I guess.
Jorts, they started as jorts.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of mountain bikers like to mountain bike in jorts. I mean, Justin Howard, our own Justin Howard's been huge, like cut off jorts, likes to wear those mountain biking. and they recognize this and like, let's make it a little more tailored for cycling, add stretch to it.
Yeah.
And it launched. And the thing that I think is exciting about Ripton is it's a female-led brand. There's stuff for men and women.
Right.
But they said they have their demo split is 65-35 women to men.
Right.
Which is awesome. And that's kind of a rare thing to hear about in the industry.
But I mean, the interesting thing though is that while they are actually sort of a performance product, as you say, performance denim. I mean, you can hike in it, you can bike in it. I think they've got pictures of people surfing in it. I mean, that's
weird,
but whatever. But they actually, I think the outdoor, while they are outdoor focused, I'm not sure that the industry has necessarily embraced that.
Right.
Okay. So their penetration is actually more in fashion today, but it definitely is something that outdoor especially could look at to appeal to that active user that also still wants that look and the durability of denim.
Yeah. It's the best version to me of the whole you can like wear it out on the trail and still go to the bar. Like I mean, that's like the most tired kind of phrase in outdoor apparel right now, you know. And I think this one though, it's like, no, you really could.
Yeah, you kind of could. You won't just look like somebody that walked off the trail.
Yeah.
And then they've got their latest. I guess they're still jorts have seam sealing now, which is So they
cracked the code on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now apparently there's other bigger brands who are trying to steal their tech. So
those sons
not
of
cool,
bitches.
man. Lay off Ripton. All right, I'm going to let you just vamp on HikerKind because you were impressed.
Yeah, so HikerKind, it's actually part of, I would say, this new and thankfully emerging group of brands within our industry, which are these female-led brands that are saying, hey, listen, you know, we want to be outdoors, we want to do those things, but we don't want to look like, you know, classic quote-unquote outdoor girl, right? And we're not necessarily interested in flannel. You know, I mean, you know, we don't want convertible pants. We want to be out there and looking good. And so, you know, in this group, I would certainly put Scenic as an example,
sure.
Wild Rye, Half Days, and HikerKind is takes a similar look, all typically using performance fabrics as well, but just with fits and looks and cuts and construction that is much more flattering, potentially better fitting, but also has a different look, a different aesthetic that maybe is a little bit more fashion influenced. And so, you know, HikerKind, I think, really is doing an interesting job, but just lots of different stuff. I was really taken by they have a new hiking pant, right? Which has it's more of a flared leg, which is in right now in fashion. The challenge with that from a hiking perspective, though, is potentially ticks and other things. So actually they have an integrated gaiter, which is like, wow, that's kind of wild, right? Underneath, so you're still fine as you're walking, as you're truly outdoor. This isn't just, hey, I want to look hiker-ish as I'm at the bar. This is a functional piece that has got so much look and style to it as well.
By the way, there's innovation, right? Because internal gaiters like that, not a new thing. Every snow pant made in the last 50 years had some sort of internal gaiter, but here's a way to deploy it in a different way and still maintain that sort of look that you're going for. So
Absolutely.
Very cool.
Yeah.
If HikerKind and Ripton had a fight, who do you think would win?
Boy, I don't know.
It's Ripton. Come on.
Okay. But the HikerKind people,
they're nice.
Such nice people.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, exactly.
All right, the last one in this category is actually, technically an established brand, but not in the U.S. right now, and that was Berghaus.
Berghaus, just you go up to their booth, and the product just jumps off the rack at you, right, and it is, not just the color, but the construction and the combination of construction and color blocking. It's like, okay, this is like nothing that we have right now. And okay, there's lots of European brands that have a lot of color, but it's the way that they're putting it together. It isn't just like a Helly Hansen, for example, has a lot of really big color, but it tends to be very sort of monocolor within a particular silhouette. This is no. We're going to have orange with white, right? I mean, it's like creamsicle. I mean, but this stuff. Some of it maybe even harkens back to a more of a vintage look, I would say, even, but really different. And we talk about this on this pod probably ad nauseum. Is that the sea of sameness issue that exists within a lot of outdoor stores? This is not the same, right? Now, it might it might be a similar materials.
Yeah, the fabrics are probably the same.
Right. It might
Yeah.
perform in a similar way, but it just looks so different. And I think if you want to bring in that different customer with something that is just fucking fun.
Yeah. Right.
And so there's the whole Liam Gallagher, Oasis angle on this deal. And so apparently, I didn't know this, but he is under contract with them.
Oh, really?
Yes. Yeah. So he's still shilling the brand, even from back in the day.
Right. Well, is the Oasis summer tour going to happen? Is it still on?
So not only do they, in talking with the Berghaus folks, not only is it going to happen, hopefully, but they're hopefully going to do a bit of a kind of a collab with the tour.
Well, I hope the Gallagher brothers fight in their Berghaus jackets. This would be great.
That would be awesome. Yes.
And then leave. It's gonna be good PR.
Yes,
They're wearing their Berghaus jackets. Did you see that?
They're like, you're in the fucking orange.
Yeah,
I'm in the orange, you bastard.
And a lot of other words.
Yes. Okay.
Oh my God. Yeah. No. Same thing. Like it just popped off the shelf. I mean, and that's kind of the that's what you want, especially in the sea of sameness, which I frankly think we can't say enough because it continues to happen. So like we will be the sense of the common sense voice around here. But no. It gets mentioned because you're right. You just walked up to the booth and you're like, what is that? You
Right.
wanted to see what that is.
Yeah.
And anyway, yeah, good on you, Berghaus. We'll see them again at Switchback next week. All right, now we're moving into the emerging brands. And the first one on this list, I'm going to try to describe.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do a terrible job
Of
at
course.
it. And I mean, which is a challenge they probably have in describing their own brand and selling their own brand. But it's one of the coolest things I've seen in a while. A true, I think, example of innovation.
Yep.
That we always are looking for, especially on this pod. And this is the brand Rux, R-U-X.
R-U-X, exactly.
You seen these guys, Doug? So I had a set of Mountain Smith sort of like gear cubes,
Yeah.
cube things.
Back in the day, yeah.
Yeah, it had kind of a big duffel with like 3 sort of cube things. And actually, they were great, right? And you're like, I threw my mountain bike shoes and gloves and helmet in there, kind of like to haul your gear stuff around. So the idea of the gear cube is not a new idea.
No.
These guys, I'm not going to say they perfected it, but they definitely took it to a whole other level.
Right.
And it starts with a sort of, I don't know, like a 2 foot, 3 foot by 2 foot kind of cube. It looks kind of like a container, just like a basic container. But this is sort of, I guess, variability that you can do in terms of storing your gear in this cube. There's all sorts of bags that you can sort of connect to it in interesting ways. There's coolers that you can put into it. It's all measured to the point where you can take any number of these things and put them in together in a very seamless way.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
You can store it on your wall in your garage. You have to put up slat wall to do that, but it was an incredible way to
or L channel will work too.
right. And
Yeah.
then it's just. I know I'm not describing this well. I know I'm underselling it, but by the time they were about halfway through their demonstration of the product, I was just in.
Yeah.
And it was just everything you'd want from a gear storage system that could either replace the sort of just basic cubes you may have had from other brands, or to get rid of just the Tupperware containers that we all currently have in our garage or basement or gear closet or whatever. It kind of just an ingenious design to really solve a need that anybody who dabbles in the stuff that we talk about will appreciate.
Absolutely. And I think the best part of it is just the fact that it does go from garage wall, again, with these built-in hooks, to your SUV, to whatever your cabin or what have you, and everything can be just built out. It was funny actually. One of the reps had his wife's
That's the thing that sold me.
Bundle,
Yeah,
right?
it was
And
her
kit. Right, it was just right there, and he's like, because you thought it had been propped out.
I thought it was a merchandise exercise here. Like, hey, bring your stuff and we'll put it in the thing. And
Yeah.
nope, this was hers.
Yeah, but you could totally see it. It's like, okay, yeah, sure, that stays on the wall, but then when we're ready to go, pop it off the wall in the back of the car and ready to
Yeah.
go. And it has these internal rails that actually then each of these individual components, which live by themselves as their own pieces, as a cooler or a storage piece or what have you, and they're all also basically dry bags to a degree.
Dry bag like functionality, right?
Yeah.
Like the way they roll down and stuff like that.
Exactly. Yeah. So they're going to keep it. They're going to keep it. Dust free, water free, etc. But it all kind of links in together in this cohesive system that really is. It's just clever.
It was clever is a great word. Like it just solved these little problems. Like even the rail where you can kind of clip like a bag to it. like say, I mean, listen, you're supposed to pack out your poo at the end of a lot of trips, right? And if you could throw your wag bag in this thing, clip it to the side, and it's not going to spill out into anything. It's a worry-free system for something like that.
Yeah.
They brought out something at the end that kind of doubles as like a travel bag, the way
Right,
that kind
like
of
a
like
duffel.
so much. Yeah, the duffel. Thank you.
Yeah.
And it was just, I don't know, they just really won me over. And immediately, like, we need more of this in the industry. So many problems solved, and makes your experience that much better. Kind of checks all the boxes. And this is the example of the D to C to S that I was talking about, because they've been around, I guess, 4 or 5 years,
Yep.
doing pretty well, and now expanding into specialty retail. Not looking to go big box, just like they want specialty dealers.
Yep,
So
absolutely.
I think it was great.
Mm-hmm.
All right, next up we got Packfire.
Packfire. Now this is definitely innovation here. Brought to you by the founder of GCI.
GCI, yeah.
Right, and so he saw really what it is basically a portable smokeless fire pit.
Yeah.
So you think about
It
that
looks
like
kind of like a solo stove.
Okay, I didn't want to say a solo stove, but okay, we're going to say solo stove. It's so if you think of a solo stove,
Yeah.
like the regular full size one, okay, but it works really well.
It's the whole smokeless ring, the whole deal.
But it's pretty darn heavy and it's darn bulky, and you're not going to take that thing to the beach. I'm sorry, unless you're really into it. Or maybe to camping. This thing, though, the whole thing comes apart, folds up, goes into a bespoke backpack with kickstand.
There's a kickstand on it.
It has a kickstand, and then it's not light. It's about 30 pounds.
30 pounds, yeah.
So I mean, you're not going to go
Because it's
backpacking.
legit, it's like a solo stove in that regard. It's like it's a legit heavy metal like fire pit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this thing is it's pretty sweet.
It was just cool. It's sitting there, and I'm like, and you're doing this enough times in your life where you go to these trade shows and you're seeing things out there, and you just immediately rip this brand to shreds before the guys even open their mouth. They're like, "Oh, nice solo stove knockoff." Like, I know what this is. I don't even want to stop. They're like, "Hold on, let me come see this." We knew some people who worked there. They're showing it to us. As soon as they started breaking it down, I'm like, "Oh, that's awesome!" That's like, what a smart idea.
Yeah.
Right. And it's what was the $300? $299?
Maybe $349.
Okay.
Somewhere in that. But
So
then,
I mean, probably competitive in that
Yeah.
kind of that sort of backyard fire, beach fire pit,
right.
but just convenient. And you think about kind of like the Rux thing. If you want to take it camping and it fits into its nice little rectangle bag, and now you're stacking it in the back of your car, it's not this weird dingleberry thing that you're trying to like. How do you jam it in the back on top of all of your other stuff? And there's like soot on stuff or what the stuff.
Yeah.
So just a really well thought out, executed upgrade to something that has existed for a while.
But also nice enough that you could have it on your back deck, and it is your fire pit. It's
and
not
it looks really nice.
It's right. It's not like your portable only version.
Right.
And then also they were showing that I don't know if you saw that they have a tabletop version.
I
they're
did, yeah, a
working
little
on.
small one.
That would be really cool.
Yeah, we said that was the fondue one. you're cooking your meat on a little spear over
there
it.
you go.
So, next we saw, Mickey Kai.
Mickey Kai. Yes.
Yeah. This is innovation on a smaller scale, but also I think a much needed thing.
Yes. So this basically is insect protection.
Yeah. It's bug spray.
Bug spray, sure.
Yeah.
But that is DEET-free, but that actually works as well, if not better than DEET itself. And so, I'm...
According to the sales guy who showed it to us.
That is true.
No,
Yeah.
No, but with Sasha, we know it.
Yeah, we know Sasha from
Yeah.
from his days at Burton and elsewhere. But yeah, because personally for me, I do not like. I mean, yeah, I'm probably the only person in the world who doesn't like to get bitten by mosquitoes.
No one, everyone loves it, except you.
Everyone else, but they like me though. I'm tasty. Yes.
Yeah, you got that sort of the blood close to your top of your
I
skin,
guess.
Irish thing going on.
They love it. They love some of that Owen blood. So like I'm like F it, whatever, 100% DEET. I don't care.
Right.
Slobber it on me. But I don't know what
I'll
I'm
trade
doing.
a few days of my life for
right. But so yeah, I'm willing to do that. But what is that doing to myself? To the environment? I guess DEET like melts plastic. I mean, it's just not good stuff.
Yeah.
It takes color off of things. Yeah. And so this stuff though is actually developed from Was it wild tomato plant enzyme?
It's
something?
plant-based.
It's
Yeah.
pheromones from wild tomatoes is what I
Yes.
got.
Yeah, and it's natural and stuff. And I thought something that interesting that Sasha did say is that, we know that DEET works.
Yep.
I think I asked the question, I'm like, does it matter how bad DEET is for you at this point? It's kind of like the PFAS thing not in terms of the broader world, but in terms of my own personal safety. And he was like, yeah, I'm not really sure. But the thing is, we know this performs as well and is from plants.
Right, it's plant.
And I'm like, right there, I'm like, yeah, I'm in. Like, why would you put the two next to each other? Do you want the corrosive plant plastic melting DEET, or do you want the one made comes from tomato spices or whatever it is? So,
right, yes.
Yeah, good innovation.
Yeah, and that's something that it's been in development, I guess, for the past 5 years, and now is FDA approval, et cetera, and is just coming to market.
It's ready to go.
Interesting one. Yep.
Which is a tough thing because I think most people who've tried DEET alternatives have been not impressed.
Not impressed.
Yeah, so now, and we have not tried this, so...
Yeah,
actually,
yes,
I would like you
caveat.
to go home to your lakeside home, where I'm sure their mosquitoes are going to be out soon if they're not already. And one arm with, one arm without. Let's see what happens.
We'll slather half of my body with this, and we'll see what happens.
Last brand, I think I'm sure we've talked about these guys at some point in the pod, is Pingora. New pack brand launched last year. We saw them at Outdoor Retailer last year. CJ Whitaker, former Code Epoxy guy. Mike May is his partner. We had a chance to chat with Mike last night. Was this your first time seeing Pingora?
Yes, it was.
Okay, what'd you think?
I thought it was good. Whatever about the performance, a good-looking pack.
Yeah, CJ makes good packs.
Because there are a lot of quote sea of sameness in the pack world, and just the little things, just the slightly asim zipper, just some of the design choices. I'm like, oh, I like that. And then the color blocking, and we'll get to that in a minute why it's a little bit different. But even the overall construction looks interesting and not just the same as everything else that's out there.
But the key differentiation with Pingora is it's all dead stock.
Right, which to those that don't know is basically what they're saying is we're not going to source new fabric. We're basically going to go to the mills and say, hey, what have you got left over in whatever ripstop or whatever we're making
whatever
this
performance year. They need to hit, metrics they need to achieve.
Exactly for that pack. And apparently in talking it was
Mike May. Yeah.
In talking to Mike, let's say they're going to do a run of whatever 500 packs. Then they'll get like, hey, here is your array of potential colors that are available from this dead stock, and then they'll go through and kind of match them up and mix the match. Like they had a really nice pack there that had a sort of a few different shades of kind of burgundy-ish color, right, with a little bit of green accent. So people shouldn't think Code Epoxy Del Dia. That's not what this is.
No.
Not at all. This is a technical pack but using the dead stock in a very, I would say, thought out way, right? In terms of how it will look as it comes together.
Very well designed. If you go and look at some of the videos they have on their social media feeds and like some of the features they built into the pack, it's really innovative stuff from a design perspective.
Yes.
The interesting thing we're talking with Mike, and it kind of echoed a little bit, and we talked some teas from interviews coming down the road for what we did here at GOA. We had a conversation with Cam Brensinger, the founder of Nemo, and we asked him about their sustainability initiatives. And the common thread, I think, between what Cam said and what Mike said about what they're doing with the dead stock is kind of at the root of the innovation conversation that we're always having here, because innovation is not always clean. It's not always like, here's this thing that was great and we made it better and boy, is not innovative. It's, talking with Mike, it creates inventory problems or reorder problems where people are like, hey, we sold through that one. We want more of that in black. And it's like, yeah, we don't have that because there's no more of that fabric available. Yeah. We can make it for you. And hold on, let me check with the factory. Green, yellow, and red.
Well, right. But as a buyer, that's a real issue, because as you look at your assortment and you say, okay, the Pingora, whatever, backpacking ski pack was great for us last year. It really worked in this white color with the pink pop. We're definitely going to do that one again, and then and then we'll do the blue one. Like, yeah, no, not so much.
I saw, because you're a meticulous guy. You're a reports guy.
Yes, I'm a numbers guy.
You're the only other member in the Rock Fight team who takes interest in download numbers, which I appreciate. Thank you. And I'm watching your brain kind of break in real time as you're realizing what the Pingora lines on your like inventory report would be, or sell-through report, or whatever, just the history of the same pack with 1,000 colors.
But, right, exactly. And just think about auto replenishment systems, and it's just like, no, you're never going to get that again. That was great.
You'd have to set it up for like whatever color's available.
Yeah.
Hey, good luck. Hope it sells.
But it's such a great idea and so beautifully executed.
Right.
The industry deserves figuring it out.
Well, and it's also, if it comes across as we're being critical of them, we're not, because they're solving a problem that the rest of the industry created.
Right.
Right. They're saying, oh, there's all this shit just left laying around. So fine, we'll make something with that.
Yeah.
And now we're like getting all nitpicky, like, but we don't have it in black anymore. You know, it's like, it's so that's true. It's kind of like what Cam was saying about what they're doing on their innovation side with sustainability as well. And that's kind of what the industry, and I say that as the royal industry as a whole here. Right. This gets messy. You have to try things. You have to mess things up that have worked for a long time. And that is what innovation is.
Yeah, absolutely. So, hopefully the industry will figure that out, because otherwise, a brand like Pingora really sort of ends up just becoming a D2C only brand.
Right.
And to the detriment of the industry, quite frankly, because I think there is traction there and people will be drawn to a brand whose whole focus is on this whole dead stock model, but doing it in a beautiful way where there's no compromise involved.
Well, and then, and retailers support it.
Right.
Take a risk. Take a flyer on this.
Mm-hmm.
And to help be brutally honest with your customers and your staff. Like, this is going to be it. And make that cool. Make that exclusive.
Exactly.
You will have a unique pack. There's 100 of these in the world.
Right.
And you have one of them.
Yep.
Yeah. That's it, man. That was the list. Any other things that come to mind?
No, it was, as I say, my only gripe is that we didn't have 3 more hours.
Yeah, there's a lot more brands we could have seen.
Yeah.
We were talking about doing a top 5. We're like, we really can't do a top 5 because we didn't see enough brands to do a top 5. There were that many we didn't get to see.
Well, exactly, because it wouldn't be fair to the other brands that we didn't get to consider. And actually, there were a few brands that I told I was going to stop by, and I didn't stop by. So if you were one of those brands, so sorry, but...
He was talking shit about you all night, guys.
That is not
I don't want to go see those guys.
No,
we want to... Even I had friends working at like the Kizik. We never got an answer if it's Kizik or Kazik. We were going to see them.
Swoop, I was going to stop by. See Virginia at Swoop. That didn't happen.
We got to see Daniel at Arn.
We did get to see
Who's
Daniel
been on
at
the
Arn.
Whirlwind tour for the last month from New Zealand.
Got to put on the packs.
Tried them out.
Here's what I would say. I mean, the logical part of my brain totally gets this.
Yeah.
And to those that don't understand what the whole Iron Pack concept is, basically you've got it's like a regular backpack, but on the front you've got 2 mini packs that are that do clip into your hip belt. So basically, from a weight distribution, it's going right through the hips as opposed to adding that much more weight to the shoulders. But it gives you much better weight distribution as opposed to having it all on your back, where then you're sort of unnaturally leaning forward to try to balance yourself. And so now you've got this much more balanced weight distribution. So it makes perfect sense.
Oh, yeah.
And it's also obviously much easier to access key items that you might need, and just not have it in your hip belt or whatever. The issue, though, is the look.
It's not a good look. It's a different look.
I think so. Thankfully, there. I'm sure there were people out there that are less. Less about the
Vain?
looks than you, than Colin,
100%,
and who will appreciate the fact that it'll help their back and they'll be able to go further.
And they've been around for a while. I mean, and Daniel was at AT days. He's been going to and finding tons of new customers, people who are like. It's the kind of brand people thank.
And
you have helped me be able to continue to backpack because I now have this in my life.
And they're the number 2 brand in New Zealand, I think, behind Osprey.
Right, which is basically being the number 1 brand in New Zealand because Osprey's number 1 everywhere.
Exactly. So clearly, I mean, when people, I think it's one of those products that once somebody tries it, they're like, oh. Yeah. Why have I been doing it the other way forever?
Right.
But you just have to get over the fact that it looks different.
Yeah. Don't listen to me on this. I don't like to go camping. So it's kind of like who am I to say that you shouldn't? This looks bad. I'm not the one you should be listening to.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
So. All right, man. All right. Good job here at GOA Connect.
Yeah. It was fun.
All right, that's the show for today. No parting shot today. Hey, we want your emails. Send them to myrockfight@gmail.com. The Rock Fight's a production of Rockfight LLC. Today's episode was produced by me, Eat It, producer Dave. Art direction provided by That Sarah. For Eoin Comerford, I'm Colin True. Thanks for listening. And here to take us out, it's Chris DeMakes with the Rockfight fight song. We'll see you next time, Rock Fighters.
Rock fight.